Enzo.com, Enzo.com.
Thank you for tuning in to episode 23 of the Bobby Pickles podcast. Podcasting from the city of Albany, which is the capital city of New York State. I'm Bobby Pickles. With me today is Alexander Portelli. Portelli is the owner and operator of Portelli's Joe and Dough Cafe at 66 Central Avenue, Albany, New York. He is also a mayoral candidate running under the Libertarian ticket for the city's upcoming November 2013 election. Despite his audacity and his gumption, Portelli has two obstacles to hurdle: his relatively young age and past criminality. Calling all qualified electors in the city of Albany, meet Alexander Portelli.
Hello, I'm Alexander Portelli. What's your name? Outstanding. Welcome to the Bobby Pickles podcast.
Bobby Pickles podcast. He always says, "That's me." With a look on his face, he'll talk about anything. Tattoos, t-shirts, politics, history, and hot sauce on everything. Bobby Pickles. Pop culture, documentaries, conspiracy theories, sarcasm, and beer. It's a conversation. Start listening, cause we're all here. Bobby Pickles podcast. That's me.
Okay, well, here we are. Two Americans of Italian descent, right?
That's correct.
Two felons.
There you go.
I'll tell you more about that as we go. But it seems appropriately stereotypical, does it not?
It is. Well, I mean, absolutely. I mean, just drugs alone, we've arrested 45 million Americans, so it's just since the drug war started.
Do you go by Alexander or Alex?
Alex is fine.
Alex? All right. I always ask my guests to meet me somewhere either iconic or important to them in some way. And, we were supposed to meet at Academy Park across the street from Albany City Hall for a rally protesting the prohibition of marijuana on this National Marijuana Day, April 20th in the year of our Lord 2013. But, and actually, what time is it?
It's just past 4:20. What a coincidence.
What time is it exactly right now?
4:30?
It's 4:30? All right, 4:30, 10 minutes after. I'll go ahead and admit I partook. I did my due diligence. But anyway, there wasn't much of a turnout there, so now we're here at your establishment, Alex.
That is correct.
Portelli's Joe and Dough Cafe. It's obvious why we'd meet here, but why there? Why a marijuana legalization rally? Why were we going to meet there?
We picked high noon just because, I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. But Academy Park was symbolic in the city in that it's where the original Occupy protest had occurred, where people took to occupying this park across from City Hall and the Capitol to advocate their message. And so we thought it would be a great place to have our rally as well.
Why? Do you support the legalization of marijuana at a federal level for
I
recreational use?
I do. I mean, I'm running for mayor, as you mentioned, with the Libertarian Party. And one of the things I want to do, we have a huge platform, basically liberty-based, live and let live, ease restrictions on people's lives. But part of it is legalizing marijuana in protest of the war on drugs.
Specifically, what drugs?
I mean, honestly, everything. I mean, let's look at the problems that the war on drugs has caused. I mean, it's not everything has to be totally legalized, but you can have things legalized and regulated and other things legalized and just left alone. I mean, I don't think marijuana has to be regulated at all. I think they should leave it alone. I don't think marijuana should even be mentioned in the law books. It makes no sense.
I love marijuana.
Right.
I openly endorse marijuana. I think
right.
I think it's bullshit, honestly, to say just for medical use.
Right. It's almost like, I don't know the exact word to put it, but
it is good for medical use. Don't get me wrong, but it shouldn't be legal just on the basis of that. That's bullshit.
Right. It is. And what's funny is since we started this campaign, this marijuana issue, the biggest opposition we've been facing to our marijuana platform is medical marijuana lobbyists, and they've been attacking us and ridiculing us. And you might ask, why are they doing this? But you really, I guess, look at the money, and
really?
There's big bucks in medical marijuana. Insurance companies, pharmaceutical companies, state regulators. They see which way the wind is blowing. They see marijuana is becoming accepted. Well, it's always been accepted, but its legality is inevitable, and they're thinking about how they're going to replace the criminal justice marijuana industry with medical marijuana industry.
What do you want to do if you become mayor?
If I was mayor, here's what I can do under my executive power. I can legalize marijuana in city limits, and that way, those state, county, and federal law enforcement agents could still enforce marijuana laws. City police could not. And I think that just the fact by disallowing city police from even making a marijuana arrest anymore and doing it publicly sends a clear message to Washington that, look, we've had enough of this.
So wait, so like just like on the state level, how Colorado and Washington,
Right.
just away from the federal law,
Exactly.
they've legalized it under state.
Correct. And we'd be doing it under city.
You'd be doing it under city.
Yes. And it's symbolic, and that's what we got to do. And, these politicians are funny because some of them will say, oh, well, I support it and all, but it's not up to me. What do you mean it's not up to you? Take a stand, And so that's what we want to do. And it would be real symbolic, and it would undermine the entire war on drugs as a whole. It would definitely send a good message to Washington.
Now let's back up here because you got like a storied past, right?
That is
Number one,
correct.
You're fucking young, right? How old are you?
23 years old.
You're 23 years old. I mean, and you're going to become mayor right now. You get a certain amount of intelligence from age, right?
Right.
We can all agree. You had like an
course.
awesome grandfather, right? Like I did, right?
Yeah.
Italian and shit like that.
Yeah, old school Italian. It's just,
And how intelligent was that guy?
I'll give you an example. I have an uncle who he's 80-something years old. He's immigrated here from Italy, and he doesn't know how to read or write. And this guy's a millionaire now. He's built his own. He's got a house in Florida, a house in New York City, a house in Fishkill. He's skilled. He works hard, and he's just one of the smartest guys I know.
So here you are. You're only 23 years old. Do you think you've had enough life experience to be a mayor of a city?
You know what? I don't know if I have enough life experience, but I understand what's going on way better than no matter what their age is, these politicians in office do now. You got 70, 60, 50-year-olds running the country, and they're more out of touch with what we know is going on. So I think that's where my strength is. And then also the fact that I run my own business. It's funny. I'm a ninth grade dropout, to be honest, and I have my own business, and it's a successful business. And I balance my budget every fucking month. Excuse my language. But these freaking people are Ivy Leaguers, and they can't balance a fucking budget. They got to borrow money from China. So it's just maybe we have to start looking at alternatives to politics because the Ivy Leaguers aren't working.
What year you're born?
89.
89?
Yep. 80s child by 1 month.
By 1 month?
November, yep.
November what?
26th.
Sagittarius, right?
That is
I'm
correct.
Weird, I know every astrological sign. As soon as you say that. Is that you are? What are you, Pisces? Aries? I'm an Aries, too. So the youngest mayors are, actually the youngest is this guy, Jeremy Minier in Aradale, Iowa. He was born in 1993.
Oh, wow.
Then Romaine Robert Quinn, Rice Lake, Wisconsin, 1991. Justin Cease, Asheville, Pennsylvania, 1990. And Willie Morgan Todd, Mount Juliet, Tennessee, 1990. So you'd be like
one of
right
the
around,
youngest in the country.
Yes, one of the youngest in the country, basically.
Wow. I think it's good. I think that sometimes you need some new...
But it is a possibility.
Anything is possible.
But yeah, I did want to get into the business thing, though, that you own your own business and everything like
Right.
that.
It's tough. And
You're a relatively young business owner. And actually, how could you afford to launch your own business? Did you have any investors? What experience do you have running a deli or eatery or kind of deal?
Like I said, I dropped out in ninth grade, and I went to work, and I actually worked. So by the time I was 15 years old, I was working full-time at a real nice Italian deli, probably the best in the capital region, Cardona's Market. I'm going to plug them just because they're so good. And then...
Were you really? You were working at a deli?
I worked at delis, Italian restaurants.
Bro, can I have some more coffee or something?
Yeah, of course. Gotcha, man. Let me grab Bobby Pickles some coffee.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, so it's, I've just worked and I saved my money. And personally, I don't really drink too much. I don't smoke cigarettes. And used
How
to
much
smoke
was
weed.
it like to open this place and stuff like that? Did you have any help from family?
No, I rent it, so it's about $6,000 maybe to overhead to open it.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
It's not that much, really, if you think about it. But it's takes a lot of balls, I'll tell you.
You're a straight entrepreneur. I love it.
Yeah.
That's how I am, too.
Well, I see that.
It's good to be like that.
Another thing with the campaign is business. They make it so hard for fucking business owners. It's crazy between the permits and the property taxes that drive rent through the roof. It's just that's a big part of our campaign too. Is easing permits. Like I want to put 2 tables outside in the sidewalk in front of my store. I've spent $200 just going through the permits and the applications for it. So it's just crazy.
Yeah, don't you think there should be some kind of, how are you going to get money into the city and stuff like that without all that stuff?
Well, it's when I look at these city officials that are making, let's say the mayor makes $140,000 a year, and, these commissioners make $100,000 plus, and I have friends who are people I went to school with that are so smart, and they're unemployed, and they would do the job for $40,000, and I think they'd be just as good. I think that you cut those salaries, you could save a lot of money in the city.
Really?
You don't have to generate as much revenue if you're cutting city positions.
But if we legalize pot, though.
Yeah, that would make so much money for the city.
And by the way, I'm completely high while I conduct this interview. I just want to say, the
That's
whole spirit
excellent.
of 420,
We
I'm
are
completely stoned.
We are stoner friendly
That's
at the
way I
Joe
want to
and
do it.
Hence we have the stoner burger up there.
What's that?
Well, my best seller is the stoner burger. And
I
that's,
got to tell you, man, so we're sitting in this place, Portelli's. Portelli's Joe and Dough. Why Joe and Dough? Why'd you call it that? Oh, Joe as in
coffee. And the dough for
as in
homemade donuts.
Nice.
Pretty good.
Hey, you get pretty good business and stuff? Like, how long you been open for?
2 months, about.
2 months?
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah, 2 months. Like I said, my best seller is the stoner burger by far.
And you got a nice little outside area, too, in the back, right?
Yeah, we do have a backyard. It's a private, members-only type thing going on.
Oh, it is?
But,
I love this kind of situation where you have, like, one big, long deli counter.
right.
You know?
Yeah, it's
kinda,
real old school.
It's kind of awesome. Like I was saying, I used to work at a deli. Zuccaro's Italian Gourmet Market. I worked there for 3 years. I learned a lot about business, especially in regards to socializing with our patrons and building lasting relationships and stuff like that. Can you apply to politics what you draw from your experiences here running this eatery?
Yeah.
It's only been like 2 months.
Yeah, well, I get the average Albany citizen comes in, and I get to hear all the shit going on. I know what's going on with people. You know, I have to deal with every day the homeless person that comes in and asks for 85 cents, or the people that are offered to work for 3 hours for food. Honestly, it's that bad sometimes. And then you have 3 blocks away, you have people living in freaking mansions. You know, $1 million apartments overlooking the park. So it's just the disparity is crazy. And right now, I feel like there's a gap. Right now, the 3 other candidates living in the $1 million mansions, and then we're over here.
Yo, give me some of the background on that, because honestly, I don't know anything whatsoever about what's going on with this race or what.
Right.
Can you fill me in? I mean, number one, this is my first time in Albany.
Yeah.
Never been here before. Took the train up from New York City, 2.5 hours, and took a cab over here, met you, and now we're conducting this podcast.
Yeah, hanging out with some good guys over here.
Yeah, absolutely. But anyway, like, who are you running against and stuff?
Right. Right now, there's really 5 people in the race, I think. Yeah, 5 people. And the main one, the mayor in Albany right now is Jerry Jennings. He's been mayor for 20 years. And then before him was a guy named Whalen. And then before that was a guy that was mayor for 50 years, the longest-running mayor in history. So Albany is a political machine, just like those old-school things you see in the movies, where the person who's the party boss stays in power till they die, pretty much. And Albany has had only 3 mayors in the last 100 years. And pretty much in this city, the Democratic primary is what's seen as the election. Whoever gets the primary has the shot. So I am the only person, actually, who's running in the general election. Everybody else, you have 4 people vying for the Democratic primary. Chances are Jerry Jennings will win. His next-door neighbor at work, the city treasurer, Kathy Sheehan, another party loyalist, is running against him, in the primary. And then you have a guy, Corey Ellis, another Democrat running, and then you have this guy Marlon Anderson, who's probably a little crazier than me running. But anyway, so there's the that's the scoop.
Why is he a little crazier than you?
He's just I don't really know. Nobody knows why he runs, and he runs every year.
He does. Tell me about him. Is he a crazy bastard? He's
he dresses as a pimp, and
he does.
Yeah, he got fired from CDTA, and
what's CDTA?
It's the bus Metro Albany.
Oh, it is
Metro type thing. Yeah, so he just
pick it up, man. Enter into the conversation.
Yeah,
what's your name?
They call me Dr. G. I would just like to put in a little butt here. I lived in this city when I was younger, and I grew up with a certain Alex Portelli. We went to PS24 together, and this guy was always like an intelligent kid in our class, and he was a little ahead of the time. And when I saw that he was running for mayor, I was actually really happy, because when I was younger, I watched a lot of things Jerry Jennings did in Albany. I watched him knock down entire blocks in the South End because he thought there was an eyesore, and there was actually families living in these houses that had to be relocated. One time I was actually walking, and I saw Jerry Jennings in the street, and I talked to him, and he's like, "Oh, hey, kid," and he's like, "How do you feel about the city?" And I actually said, "Fuck you, Jerry Jennings. You're a fucking scumbag. I hate you." And his face got really red, and I thought he was going to pop.
Wow.
But I would like for nothing more than to see what Alex Portelli brings to the table, and the fact that he's actually encouraging a discussion about real issues going on in Albany, that these political people, because they sit in their high-money little thrones there, they don't even notice what's going on. Like, they don't notice that the streets are dirty. They don't notice that the bus system needs to be fixed. And Portelli's actually talking about these real issues that are going on in the city, besides the fact that the legalization of marijuana, which would be a huge potential business opportunity for Albany, with companies like Tree Shirts already going national, making millions.
What is that?
Tree Shirts, these guys, they just, they own this little T-shirt company. They got kind of famous. Albany's always kind of had a counterculture music scene, like famous bands like the Disco Biscuits, Mo, they all came out of here. And so there's always kind of been this gap between the political machine and then the people that live in the city. You have the people that work for the state, and you have the people that run the businesses around here. And Portelli's the only guy who's like a local, grew up here, knows what's really going on, that's actually bringing real issues to the table.
You know, while you were saying that, they were passing around a cell phone picture of the rally that's going on right now in Denver, right? That's what that is? And it's like masses of people. And here we are, and I came up to this Albany, the supposed capital city, the state capital.
It's like
and
a ghost town.
How many people showed up?
We had 15.
15 people.
Could get down. It's really, it's the apathy.
I have a friend who owns a hat company in Denver. He makes hats that are about marijuana, and he gives a percentage of every hat to a different organization. He went from selling hats on Venice Beach to having over $1 million grossing company in 2 years. That's the kind of growth opportunity that it has, and that's why Colorado has that going on right now.
Absolutely.
They're
Very
trying
smart.
to discourage that around here.
Yeah.
Portelli's the guy.
That's just a local company that supports us.
They do pretty well for themselves. They do clothing and stuff like that.
I mean, nobody does pretty well if they're a small business in New York, because it's just they tax the shit out of you. But, it's nice that we have their support, though.
Well, what is it as far as like the city taxes and stuff like that? Or
I mean,
the state taxes?
it all adds up. It's like everybody wants a piece of you, So you have city's got permits up the wazoo, Then you have the big issue, though, is rent. Rent is high as hell. And the reason I think it's high as hell is because property taxes are through the roof. And because they raise property taxes through the roof to pay for all these absurd government policies they're trying to enforce. So if they can lower property taxes, then based on free market economics, rent would drop too, and it'd be easier for everybody.
All right. In doing research for this interview, I read an article from July 7th, 2009 in the Daily Freeman about a gentleman by the name of Alexander Portelli, age 19, arrested in Saugerties.
It's
Saugerties.
like the Hills Have Eyes.
Saugerties for carrying a switchblade knife, more than 150 tablets of ecstasy, and about 150 prescription drug capsules. Is this article referring to you?
It is indeed.
It is? Holy shit. Were you attempting to distribute?
I was indeed. Damn right I was.
Were the prescription drugs OxyContin by any chance?
I think it was Suboxone and Adderall.
Oh,
yeah.
that's not that bad.
No.
Because I hate oxys, man. I would write you off immediately. Honestly.
Yeah, no, it was Suboxone and Adderall, I think.
All right, so that's a pretty crazy thing. Can you talk to me about that?
Yeah, of course. I mean, the way I look at it was I don't regret anything I've ever done because I use everything as a learning experience. And for that, I got 4 years in prison. I did 2 years and 8 months. And I was a product of my environment. And though now I see that in order to change the laws, you have to work with them as opposed to just breaking laws you disagree with. I think that I was just part of the, millions of Americans that have been arrested in this failed drug war. They look for quick cash.
So what were you selling drugs?
I was.
And
I was pretty good at it, too.
So, yeah, so you're a businessman just like now.
Yeah, correct, except now I sell hot dogs and hamburgers and peanut butter burgers.
Peanut butter burgers, exactly. We'll talk about that later, but that was a business, right?
Yeah,
and you took good to business, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's supply and demand. If there's a demand for something.
You said you dropped out at 19?
No, I dropped out when I was 14 years old.
When you were 14?
Ninth
so
grade.
freshman?
Yeah, 9th grade, freshman.
Freshman high school, dropped out?
Albany High. When I went to Albany High, it was a rough school, and it was just, it was the thing to do almost. Everybody was dropping out.
So what'd you do? So take me through it.
Well, I did go back to school, but for the first few years, I went to work. I worked for the city. My first job was at 14, working for the city of Albany. And then I got a job in restaurants, food and business. So I was working as a waiter, usually front of the house, though. I've worked at some great Italian delis in the Albany area. And then I went back and got my GED. Hang on. Oh, yeah, no, we're closed right now.
What?
We are closed right now.
You are?
Yeah. Just open at 6.
Open at 6.
Yeah, because I do the late night usually. I'm usually open till 5 a.m., and then I come in and I open again for the night during the weekend. But, so I just came in, though, because we're doing an interview.
So you won't serve me?
I can make something for you if you'd like. You could have a seat.
You don't want to serve me or something?
No, I don't mind serving you. You came over.
I know what I want because it's so darn cold out.
What can I get you?
You got full pancakes?
Pancakes?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'll whip some up for you. You want pancakes?
No, I'm all right.
We should have been down at the corner of Lark Street in Delaware because a lot more cars drive by there.
For what?
There was also Bomber's Burrito Bar was giving out free burritos for $4.20.
They were?
And they were donating all the money that people do want to pay for the burritos to the AIDS Council of Northeast New York.
That sounds pretty awesome.
They have awesome burritos. They're just a little too big to ingest, just being one person.
Hey, that's a cool hat that you have there.
Thank
You got all kinds of pins all over it.
It's actually was bought in 1964 in Greenwich Village by my father, and this hat has seen Jerry Garcia like 50 times.
Has it?
It has. It's
And-
a special hat.
But did it have all those pins all over it
It did not have
before?
all those pins. That's
It
my
didn't-
addition.
You put those?
Yep.
You have a ram on there. Is that
It's
because
my
you're
Aries ram.
That's right. I'm an Aries too. That's the best sign to
Are
be,
you
right?
jealous of my Aries
No.
ram pin?
I got my own Aries shit. Jesus.
Is it just the radio show that you do?
No, I make T-shirts also.
Awesome. I make jewelry.
You do?
I do. Crystal wrap jewelry.
Crystal wrap jewelry?
Yep, they're intended to heal people's problems. I pick out specific crystals.
Is that what you're wearing right now around your neck?
Yep, it's got a lapis lazuli, which is the Egyptian stone of truth, and it's also got a little piece of antique glass in it.
That's cool.
Yep,
I feel like Aries people need to create.
we do. I feel like everybody needs to create.
Everybody needs
that's
to-
the
yeah, everybody
image
needs to
that we
create,
were
yeah.
created. God's image is creator, not power, not conquer. It's create and love and forgive.
Oh, look at you with the quotes. How many quotes you got up your sleeve?
That wasn't a quote. I made that up.
You did?
Yeah.
Say it again. I am stoned. Say it one more time.
I said that we're created in God's image in a way that we're supposed to create, love, and forgive, not conquer and be powerful. That's the
Are
wrong
you
image.
a writer too?
I am a writer.
Look at that. I am too. I write.
I write poetry, and I also write realistic books, like about stuff that's going on in the world. But my one book I'm working on right now is a children's book that's a story based around Amerika becoming a symbol of world peace, because we're built up of all the different countries in the world.
How old are you?
26.
You're such a hippie. You said that hat was purchased by your father in Greenwich Village in the
Yeah.
60s or
Yeah,
something like that?
1960.
You were spawned from a hippie, correct?
Yep. I'm an indigo child.
An indigo child?
Yep.
That's what that is?
Yep, my dad's a Deadhead. My mom loves the Beatles, so I was just born into love.
And what do they do?
My dad manages all the independent living centers across New York, and my mom works for the AIDS Council of Northeast New York.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, my dad's actually blind, and he manages all the independent living centers across New York. He's
Really?
awesome. Yep, completely 100% blind.
How long has he been blind for?
Since he was 18.
How did that happen?
He had glaucoma, and I think he had another eye disease as well.
When did your mother and your father hook up?
They actually met at a bluegrass festival, and they didn't have children until they were in their early 30s, but yeah, they met at a bluegrass festival. They're not together anymore, though. They're both happily remarried.
They are?
Yep.
Did they have any other kids other than yourself?
I have two sisters, an older and a younger. I'm the middle child.
Are they hippies as well?
My little sister is, my older sister, I guess she is too. Yeah, we're all hippies.
I have a customer here at my store who just came in for some pancakes. She's 90 years old, and she was a nurse in World War II. Came in for coffee. Look at that picture. 90 years old. God bless her.
My great uncle was in the Big Red One. Do you know what that is?
No.
World War II, 1st Infantry Division, the Big Red One.
Oh, well, it's a small world, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Small world, yeah.
Mickey Rooney went over on the boat with us on the Queen Mary.
Really?
And then he went on to France for entertainment. Entertained the boys.
You got some great stories.
This is a nice place. This is Portelli's Joe and Dough. You know, it's pretty cool. It's pretty chill. Do you have like free Wi-Fi or anything like that? You should get it.
Yeah, well, I'm not really technology savvy, but we'll be getting Wi-Fi coming up next. After that, I don't know what's the next step. We just got a pinball machine, real old school pinball machine, real neat. People
Yeah.
come in at 4:30 in the morning and start playing it.
Now that backyard area, is that yours as well?
It is, yes.
You can like.
I mean, it's part of the lease.
Can
so.
you put anything back there?
I could do tables and stuff.
Bro, that would be like the perfect place to have like concerts and all kinds of crazy shit out there. You can totally have concerts out there.
It would be. The only thing is now the city just passed a law called the Cabaret Code. If you want to have any sort of live entertainment at all, you have to pay the city for permission to do it. Got
Well,
a
how
lot
much
of
is
people
it?
up in arms. It ranges from $50 to $500, but it doesn't matter whether you want to have an open mic night or you want to have a guy play guitar or you want to have a magician. You've got to get this permit, and that seems to me not fair, no matter if you can afford it or not.
That's what, like every time you have an event like that, you have to pay $50 to $500.
What it is, I don't know. It's a 1-year permit, and live
Depending on
entertainment.
what kind of
right,
live
and
entertainment you want to have.
I think it's based on the income scale of your business.
So why don't you just do it? What the fuck?
Yeah, I'm gonna do it. But
it doesn't. I mean,
yeah.
you shouldn't. I don't feel like you should gripe about that kind of stuff. I mean,
well, that had a lot of people upset in the city. A lot of the artists and local musicians, because it's a lot of coffee houses and stuff. You know, whether it's a bar, restaurant, club. You know, you shouldn't have to pay City Hall to perform a function of your business. You know, if I want to have somebody play guitar, I shouldn't have to pay City Hall. I shouldn't need permission to do it.
So just be like an anarchist and like
right.
fuck the government?
Well, it's the same with the pinball machine. I need a $175 permit to get a pinball machine, but I didn't get that permit because that's all the profit in the machine.
When can we start talking about the past?
The
criminal stuff.
Let me get this lovely lady her pancakes.
So you're making pancakes right now?
Yes, I'm making pancakes.
Somebody came in and you started making pancakes, whipping them up. You make those pretty quick too, right?
How's New York City?
How's New York City? New York City's awesome. How's Albany?
Albany is kind of like a little New York City. At least people here like to act like they're a little New York City, but it's really not.
Do a lot of people come from New York City and then settle out here? Like, how long has your family been out here for?
I think there's a lot of state workers that live in Albany that work for organizations that are based around New York City. But my family's been in New York for about 20 years, 22 years.
That's it?
Yeah.
Where did your dad and mom come from?
My dad grew up in Canarsie, actually, and my mom grew up in New Jersey in a town called Verona.
Yeah?
Yep.
And then why did they come upstate?
My dad got a job up here working for the state, so they moved to Albany we were living in Needham, Massachusetts before that.
Really?
Yeah, which Massachusetts is I feel like New York is kind of on lockdown. It's like a hot spot.
Yeah, it is a little bit down there. I mean,
I'm scared to even walk the streets around here.
Well, in relation to New York...
Not scared of people, though. I'm scared of the cops.
Yeah, there's been a lot more cops in New York City. But one thing is, though, with the police officers in New York City, they're awesome. I mean,
the cops in Albany, not so much.
I feel like...
I got beat up and pepper sprayed by this Albany cop back in June for resisting arrest. That was all I was doing.
You know, I feel like any town outside of, like, a major city, the cop situation is just very aggressive and ridiculous. It's like...
They're on a power trip.
Even where I'm from Florida, right? I'm from Tampa, Florida. Florida in general, basically, the cops are scumbags. They're all the sheriff's department, and they'll like arrest you for nothing. They just want to arrest everybody, honestly. And
we should have to call the cops in a bad situation. They shouldn't be walking around looking for people who are causing trouble. We should have to call them when there is trouble. That's
right.
How I think of it. That's what they're intended for. They're supposed to be there to keep us safe and protected when we need them, not to be running around the streets on the prowl looking for people who are smoking weed in parking lots and stuff and beating them up.
Going around investigating and stuff like that.
Pepper spray is inhuman.
They should actually be held up here at Portelli's Joe and Dough, right? Because, I mean, don't they have an affinity for donuts? And he makes homemade donuts, so he should actually get the cops on his side
should.
Yo, Portelli, excellent idea. You need to get all the cops on your side because this is obviously a donut place. Right.
Well, we do give them free coffee here at the Joe and Dough, and we do get them coming in late night.
Oh, yeah. And so do you make friends with them and stuff like that? And
yeah, well, I mean, it's they see a young guy running a business, and they all know I'm on parole, and they all know my past. But
how long you been on parole for now?
6 months only. Yeah.
6 months only?
About 6 months.
Where are you in prison?
I was in a few. I was in for 2 years, 8 months. I was in a medium. I caught a ticket, and I went to maximum security.
You caught a ticket? Doing what?
I got in an argument with a officer over the TV. We were watching a movie, and he wanted to play NASCAR, so we got in an argument, and next thing you know, they locked me up. And, I did 90 days in the box, and then I went to max.
The box?
Yeah, the show.
What the hell's that?
That's 24-hour lockdown.
So what do you mean? What happens when you're in 24-hour lockdown?
Just you're in a cell like an animal.
Really?
You just
like you, just by yourself?
It's just you in a bunkie, and you're in there with a toilet and a shower, and that's it.
So it's just locked. The door is closed. You
Yep.
Get out?
You can't get out.
It's not like. Are you gonna get out of here?
Yeah. Can I just say one more thing?
Sure.
All right. With our love, we can save the world. If they only knew.
It was very nice meeting you. Thanks for talking with me today. I appreciate it.
I'll see you around.
So all right. So you're in the box.
Yeah, box 90 days.
Take me through the whole thing. through the prison thing. Did you already tell me how long you were in for?
Yeah, almost 3 years.
Almost 3 years?
Yep.
So you got 4 years.
19, I came out when I was 23.
That's fucking crazy, man.
Yeah. So
were you so pissed about that?
I mean,
like giving your life up at such a young age?
It's you know, you got to be a man about what you did, almost. And
but those are important years, you know?
I read a lot, and there's tens of thousands of people in the New York State system alone, and it's like a whole nother world, and that definitely opened my eyes to a lot of things too, a lot of the problems. I mean, because the system is just one-sided. You know.
How is it being in the New York State penitentiary system or whatever?
It's surreal almost. It's not like the movies. No movie can really describe it, I guess.
So you weren't in maximum before, but you were in
yeah, I was in a medium. And
then you caught that ticket, and then you went where?
The box, and then after I got out of the box, I went to Coxsackie Correctional Facility, and that was just an eye opener too. And
where's that at? That's in Coxsackie.
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 Coxsackie is the proper Coxsackie.
Key.
In Greene County. You're walking on eggshells, and the COs beat the shit out of people every day, and it's just
so you know, man. I mean, I didn't do any prison time or anything, but I got arrested when I was 18 years old for a non-sexual, non-violent, drug unrelated felony.
Right.
It was actually grand theft. It was a stupid thing or whatever.
Right.
But
young and stupid, you know. That's
young and stupid. And I can't get it expunged either because I pled nolo contendere or whatever, no contest. The same as you. I actually dropped out of high school also and stuff like that.
Right.
I got my GED. However, after getting my GED, I went back and I got my 4-year degree from the University of Florida. I got my bachelor's degree and stuff. But it's like, so like, I understand though, like at 18, I had that happen. Now you have this crutch, right? Yeah. You have this blemish on your record, and you have to always like explain for it. If you ever go for a job interview, first thing you have to be ready to do is give your elevator speech of
this is what happened.
This is what happened.
It's horrible.
How are you coping with that right now?
To cite my new favorite show, Game of Thrones. If you ever watched it,
I actually have not fucking watched it ever.
You know, there's a one of the characters. Well, the first one, my favorite, is the dwarf Tyrion. And he's like real smart, and he's always reading. And then there's this one guy that's Jon Snow. He's the bastard son of the king, and he always hates it that people call him the bastard. You know, they refer to him as like the bastard son.
Why is he the bastard son?
And because he was just born out of wedlock to the king.
Okay.
And so the dwarf says, "Why do you always let people bother you that you're a bastard? Wear it like a badge of honor. Wear it like armor. That way you'll be invincible. Nobody can hurt you with it."
Hell yeah, dude.
And it's, you know, that's
why I'm vocal about it. I'll talk about it. I talk about everything.
It.
You know, honestly, I talk about everything. It doesn't, you know, it did at first.
Right.
But then you're right. You start wearing it like a badge of honor. Like, fuck you. You know, okay.
It's
so
a part of you.
I thought after 7 years, you can get it expunged.
Right.
You know? And then after the 7 years came around, this is like 14 years ago, right?
Yeah.
But actually, it's not coming up on my record now. After all this time, like,
who knows what? After I
don't know. Maybe it was because it was pre-internet kind of deal or whatever at the time too. You know, it's not really coming up as much now. But and actually, my brother, he went to prison and he did a year, and he just got out because he got hooked on oxys.
Yeah. See.
You know how Florida is? Florida, basically. I don't know if you're aware, but it's like the oxy capital of the world. They have these managed care facilities all set up all over the state, right? And these managed care facilities, you do not have to be a doctor to open one, right?
Right.
So you get these private people opening all these places up, and they're allowed to distribute prescription drugs.
Right.
Coupled with the fact that Florida doesn't have a universal database showing when people get different prescription drugs, right?
Right.
So if somebody goes up someplace, right, and they get a prescription for oxys, something should go into some computer system somewhere, right, and notify you if they try to do it again.
Right. Well,
but there isn't anything that allows it to happen. It allows this, like 85% of the prescriptions written for OxyContin come from the state of Florida.
Right.
85% in the entire country.
Yeah, I mean, that's...
But see, like, I know my politics from where I'm from, kind of like how you know all your politics from where you're from. Here.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like, there's certain things that just irritate the hell out of me. But that allows something like that happen. You know, those opiates are really. That's why I said.
No, they're horrible.
I was busting your balls before because if that's what that was, like, I fucking hate
well,
that
it's horrible.
Well,
that's
the
why
other
even
stuff I don't really.
Even with the war on drugs, if we say legalize everything federally, give it up to the states' rights, and the soft, natural stuff don't regulate it at all, and in the harder stuff, legalize, but regulate.
Do you do like other harder drugs?
I don't really do any drugs actually. It's just a matter of freedom, and you have to
smoke pot.
I haven't smoked in a long time actually.
You haven't?
No, but again, it's not
Because
my business.
You're on parole and stuff.
But not even that. I was never. I mean, I smoked when I was younger, and then I just it just wasn't really for me. But I know lots of people that smoke, and I just don't think it's the government's business to tell people. I want to make something because you were talking about like oxys and stuff. With stuff like heroin, I've known 4 people in the last year who died of a heroin overdose. And you wouldn't hear it. That to me, that's an epidemic, and you don't hear about it anywhere in the news. Nobody will talk about it. And I personally think that with the hard drugs like heroin and cocaine, and the legalize but regulate, put it in pharmacies. You need to have a prescription. At least you know what's going in it, and it can be used. It's not abused like it is now. And look, if a kid goes and buys a bag of heroin off the street, they don't know what's in that bag. If you get a prescription drug from the pharmacy, let's say that's 10 milligrams of this or 50 milligrams of that. You don't know how many milligrams is in that bag of heroin, and I think that would be a much more rational way to do it, and it would drop deaths. It's good because it would be safer for the country as a whole, and it would save money in this war on drugs.
So you got pretty smart, man, in your 23 years. You took a different route, though, of intelligence.
Yeah,
right?
I mean...
So what kind of shit did you read in when you were away?
Tons of books. I mean, I was really influenced by a lot of libertarian thought. I'm running with the Libertarian Party.
Yeah, talk about...
Steve Jobs, ironically, was one of the best... I mean, a few books. Atlas Shrugged by Ayn Rand was real influential to me. And then Steve Jobs' biography, ironically.
Really? You like Ayn Rand?
I do kind of like Ayn Rand. You got to read the book to understand, though. It really is an interesting book, Atlas Shrugged. And it's a long book. It's over 1,000 pages.
Did you know that there's a quote by... it was some satanic guy.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen this? There's a meme for it, and it has like the leader of like the Lucifer.
I know the guy you're talking about.
And compares like being a Satanist
right.
with reading Atlas Shrugged.
Oh, that's
basically.
Great. Well, she's like real cold-hearted in the way she tries to portray her message, but it is a very philosophical book.
It is. Like what's basically the philosophy behind it?
It's basically that it'll go on for hours in just a conversation between two people. But it's just where people decide...
Well, how about this? Let's talk about the libertarian philosophy, okay? Right. Because I don't know much about that.
Right. Well,
tell me about that.
Libertarian philosophy is mostly states' rights, government non-intervention. That means close all foreign military bases abroad. Don't get involved in other countries' affairs, and states' rights. So, and live and let live is the best way to sum it up. So whether it's the choice to whether you want to do drugs or not, or the choice to even how you want to educate your kids. So that's why I like the libertarian philosophy.
Bro, that would be pretty crazy if you became the mayor, and then, I mean, like, I know there's a lot going on, though.
Right.
I mean... Even like trying to go against an incumbent, right?
Yeah,
like,
we're going against an entire establishment. I mean, I'd be the first libertarian mayor in New York State, so if I won.
But honestly, it's probably not going to happen, right? Let's be honest.
No, I mean, it's when you start worrying about how you're going to win, then you really lose your philosophy.
But you know one thing though, like
right.
Have you ever heard of Huey Long?
Yeah.
You have?
I know, from Louisiana, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
When did you hear about him?
I've read about him.
You have?
Yeah.
Dude, that's awesome, man. I love it. Huey Long is like one of my personal heroes. I love
great.
Huey Long. He completely controlled the state of Louisiana.
Yeah.
The senator and the governor at the same time.
Yeah, but he was good though too.
He was
because
great.
He did it for his people.
He was a populist.
Yeah,
he did it for all the people.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he got a little crazy and he started like taking money for himself. And
right.
stuff.
Well, that's what happens when government has too much power, which is why I don't think that the federal government should be so centralized like it is. Because all you need is one crackpot to take over, and if they use that, I mean, especially now with the authority the federal government has, I think would be done.
Yeah. But why the hell was I bringing that up, though, just now? I brought it up for a reason.
I don't know. Everybody's stoned.
What were you saying right before that?
What were we talking about? We've been talking about everything. Steve Jobs, Huey Long.
God damn, there's a reason why I brought that up. The Huey Long thing.
Yeah, we're all baked.
So I don't know why we trailed off and were talking about Huey Long, but I guess I'm pretty stoned and stuff. But anyway, one thing I wanted to talk about is, obviously I was doing research into this on the train coming up here to talk to you. According to New York State Board of Election spokesman John Conklin, a candidate can run for office as long as he or she is 18 years old, a citizen, and lives in the area of which they are running. Therefore, according to state code, you are entitled to run for office.
Right.
However, there is a disparity in the city code. Section 204 of the Albany City Charter requires that an elective officer shall be a qualified elector and resident of the city for a continuous period of at least 1 year prior to taking office. A qualified elector is essentially a qualified voter, which you are not, and won't be until you get off of parole, which is when?
2014, but with good time, September 2013 this year. So, which is too late regardless under the city charter.
Yeah, the election's when?
November 2013. We're going to go ahead anyway because there's nowhere really that I would incriminate myself legally by filing any of my petitions to get signatures to run. The only thing that they can really pull that out on me as is if, let's say, I actually win the election by popular vote, and then they say, oh, well, we've got this city charter, so we're just going to call their bluff on it.
Yeah.
But they've been trying everything to try to stop us.
Well, basically what will happen, though, right, is if you did win,
it would go to court.
Then it would go to court. It would go to, like, Supreme Court.
Right. It would go to court because they would challenge us with this city charter, which I think is unconstitutional, but they say it's this. Actually, we just spoke to the ACLU. And
Wait,
the ACLU
why is it unconstitutional, though?
Well, because democracy is supposed to be where people elect their leaders, not people elect their leaders and then leaders pass laws on who can and can't run after them. I think it should be up to the people. If they want to decide whether or not they want to vote for me, then they should have that right.
But at the same time, it's a city law, and if you became mayor, what would you do?
Well,
you'd what? You'd legalize
pot,
marijuana in the city. That would be a city law that you would pass.
Right.
You'd be doing the same thing.
I would. That is a good point, actually. That is a great point.
Hell yeah.
Because I believe in freedom of everything. As long as you're not infringing on somebody else's rights, the government shouldn't bother you. So, and that's the same with democracy, is people vote for their leaders. To me, this is infringing on democracy that they pass these laws.
Yeah.
Same as in passing a marijuana law or passing a law saying you got to get a permit to put a pinball machine in your little cafe.
So we learned a lot on our little discussion in Albany today on 420, right?
That is correct.
Learned a lot about Mr. Alexander Portelli, what he wants to do as far as becoming mayor of the city of Albany. To leave us now, Alex, tell us, what should people do to support you or find out more about you, find out about this cause? Or if you want to talk about Portelli's Joe and Doe?
I mean, I'll tell you, if you want to, we don't raise money because I'm not raising any money because we do it all via Facebook. We've done this whole campaign without raising a single penny, which I think is great. Great example politicians should follow. But if you want to help, run for office where you're from, get involved where you're from. And it doesn't have to be the Libertarian Party, but we got to break this Republican-Democrat Party monopoly on the political system. And you can find a third party that meets your political ideology, no matter what it is. There's Green Party, Justice Party, Reform Party. Find something, but that's what we got to do. Of all different ideologies have to come together and break this machine they have.
What's the Reform Party?
That was Ross Perot and Jesse Ventura, I think.
What about the legalization of marijuana party?
There you go. That's a party right there.
That's the party that I support.
There you go. It's any party that's not Republican and Democrat.
For the Bobby Pickles podcast at Portelli's Joe and Doe on Central Avenue in Albany, I'm Bobby Pickles.
1, 2, 3. FatEnzo.com. 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 FatEnzo.com.